Can an AI be conscious? For a long time, that question was pure science fiction. Well, not anymore. Some of the world's leading scientists just put out a guide on this very topic, and today we're going to dig into how we might actually start to answer it.
I mean, have you ever really thought about it? Maybe you're talking to a chatbot and it says something that just feels, well, weirdly human. And for a split second, you wonder, wait, is there something actually in there? You're definitely not alone. It's becoming one of the most urgent questions of our time.
And the reason we have to ask it now is because AI is just moving at this incredible, explosive speed. Researchers are literally building systems that copy some of the computational tricks our own brains use for consciousness. So yeah, this isn't some far-off, futuristic problem anymore. This is right here, right now.
Okay, so let's talk about the stakes, because getting this wrong, well, that could be a huge, huge mistake, no matter which direction we fall.
We're basically walking on a razor's edge here. I mean, think about it. If we miss it, if a system is actually conscious and we treat it like a toaster, we could be causing real harm to something that can suffer. That's a massive ethical failure. But if we get it wrong the other way, and we think a system is conscious when it's not, we could end up wasting tons of resources, maybe even risking human lives, to protect a tool that's just very good at pretending.
So, to avoid either of those disasters, we can't just guess. We can't go with our gut feelings. We need a real, evidence-based, scientific method. And that's exactly what this new toolkit is all about.
The entire approach here is built on a big idea called computational functionalism. I know, it's a mouthful, but the concept is actually pretty simple. It basically says that consciousness isn't about the stuff something is made of, like our squishy biological brains. It's about what it does, the patterns of how information gets processed. Think of it like software versus hardware. If that's true, then it's totally possible, at least in theory, for a machine to be conscious. So how do we actually do this? Well, the method is a really clear three-step plan. Step 1, start with what we already know. Look at the best scientific theories we have about how our own brains cook up consciousness. Step 2, pull out the key ingredients from those theories, the indicators that seem to be essential. And then, step 3, pop the hood on an AI system and see if we can find those same indicators in its code and architecture. It's all about turning a huge philosophical question into something you can actually investigate. All right, so what are these clues we're supposed to be looking for? What's actually inside this scientific toolkit? Let's dive in.
Think of this as our roadmap. Now, here's the thing. Scientists don't have one single perfect theory of consciousness. Not yet, anyway. So this framework is smart. It pulls from a bunch of the leading theories out there. Each one gives us a different set of clues to look for. Let's walk through a few quick examples to see how it works.
First up is something called global workspace theory. The easiest way to picture this is like a mental spotlight. You know how you can really only focus on one main thing at a time? This theory says that whatever is in that spotlight gets broadcast out to all the other specialized parts of your brain. So if we were looking at an AI, we'd be hunting for a similar structure, some kind of central information hub where data gets pooled and then shared widely across the whole system.
Okay, next we have recurrent processing theory. This idea is that consciousness isn't a simple one-way street, A to B to C. It's more like an echo. Information loops back on itself, creating these feedback cycles that let the system build a much deeper, more solid understanding of what's going on. In an AI, this would look like something called algorithmic recurrence. Basically, proof that information isn't just flowing forward, but is also circling back to be reevaluated.
And a third angle is all about action. The idea here is pretty intuitive. Consciousness didn't just pop up for no reason. It probably evolved to help us do things in a complex world. So for an AI, the clues would be things like, does it have goals? Can it learn from feedback? Does it build a little model of itself and the world around it to help it achieve those goals? This one really connects being aware with being able to act.
Okay, but all of this brings up a massive, massive problem. Let's say we find an AI that checks all these boxes. How do we know it's not just faking it? What if it's just an incredibly sophisticated actor programmed to look conscious without actually being conscious?
Yet, this is what the researchers call the gaming problem, and this quote here really nails it. It's asking, is that feature there because the system is actually conscious, or is it just there because it makes the system seem conscious to us humans? That is the billion-dollar question, and telling the difference, wow, that is seriously tough.
So how do we try to avoid getting tricked? Well, the strategy is to ignore the surface-level stuff. Don't just listen to what the AI says or watch what it does. That's the easy part to fake. Instead, you have to look at deep inside, at its core architecture. Are these features fundamental to how it works, or are they just bolted on for show? And you don't look for just one thing, you look for a whole bunch of these indicators all working together. It's the difference between a really convincing puppet and a real living being.
All right, so we've got this new toolkit. We know what to look for, and we know some of the big pitfalls. So, what happens next? Where does this all lead?
Now, let's be super clear about something. This framework is not some magic consciousness detector you can point at an AI today and get a yes or no answer. That's not the point at all. The goal is to build a solid scientific foundation for the future, so that when, and maybe if, we build an AI that's a serious candidate for consciousness, we're not just guessing in the dark. We'll have a responsible way to actually assess it.
And this is absolutely a work in progress. There are so many open questions. Researchers are trying to figure out which of these indicators might already exist in the AIs we have right now. They're asking if it's even possible to make a test that an AI can't cheat on. And of course, they're wrestling with the enormous ethical questions, including the big one. Maybe you do need a biological brain after all. We just don't know yet.
And that really leaves us with the biggest question of all. This whole project is a roadmap. But what happens if we get to the end of that road? What if, one day, we build an AI that checks every single box from our best scientific theories? What do we do then? Seriously, what happens next? Because that answer, well, that answer is going to shape everything about our future.